Everyone, so in this tutorial we'll try to cover creating a monthly budget and applying basic formatting for better presentation of our workbook. We'll try to insert contents into a table, learn how to make use of cell styles and insert new rows and columns and also delete them. So to begin with, let's first start and create a blank workbook. Let me first discuss to you what cell addresses are. If you can see on the screen, a lot of rectangular boxes, those are what we call cells. And each cell has a specific cell address. Let's say in column D and row 9. So the intersecting line between column D and row 9 is what we call the cell or the active cell. And that active cell has a specific cell address that you can see on our name box. You will know that the cell is active once you click on it and a solid rectangular border will appear on the rectangular box. So now let's move to inserting text. If I click on A1 and I type on my keyboard, I'll be able to insert text into that specific cell address. And if I want to delete text and change the text that I have entered into A1, I'll just need to single click on it and then type the new text that I want to appear. Excel will automatically delete the content of that cell address. So let's say you don't want to go and delete all of the content in your active cell. What you can do here is to go and click on that specific cell twice so that you will see that the insertion point now has been activated. So you can delete text or words or characters in that active cell by using your delete key or backspace key. So I will delete here letter P and insert monthly budget. So I can delete characters from right or left to right with the use of my delete key. And I can delete words from right to left with the use of my backspace key. You can also delete these contents on our formula bar. So you can either insert text in the active cell or in our formula bar. So let's say I want to go and do that without double clicking on our mouse. I can use the F2 keyboard key to activate the insertion point in our selected cell. Okay, and you can also move around that cell with the use of your keyboard arrow keys. Okay, so let's say I have two workbooks open and I want to view both of them both at the same time. Excel provides you an option to do that. So just go to the View Ribbon tab and then under the Windows group, look for the View Side by Side command button, and you'll see now here that Excel will now be providing you with an option to view both sides or both workbooks. You will know that the workbook that you are working on is the one that is active by clicking anywhere on that workbook. Okay, and as Excel also provides you with an option to move around the workbooks both at the same time, or view both workbooks both at the same time by means of synchronous scrolling. You can do that either going up or down. Very useful if you were getting some data from one workbook and another and transferring those data into another workbook. Remember that you can go around our Excel worksheet with the use of the mouse button by clicking on a specific cell or dragging on cells that you want to select, or you can also make use of the tab key. So you can move from left to right with the use of the tab key, and right to left with the use of the shift plus tab. Hold down the shift key and then press the tab key. You can also do that same movement with the use of the keyboard arrow keys. Right arrow key, down arrow key, or up arrow key, and left arrow key. Okay, let's say I want to go to column 5 and type monthly bills. And I want to move to the right of that column, that will be in column B, and type due date. And I would like to fill the months for the year. So that will be January on column C. So you can either do this manually. Okay, so instead of, or let's say I want to type month of January, February. Okay. However, Excel provides you with an option for you to automatically fill information in our cells. You can use this fill handle to autofill the information or saved information into your selected cells. The fill handle is the box below the right bottom corner of your active cell. So once you placed your mouse pointer on that small box on the bottom right corner of your active cell, you will see that the mouse pointer has now changed into a small black thin cross. So if I'm going to click on that and I'm going to drag to the right, you'll see that Excel will be automatically filling the information for me. So let's say February, March, April, May, June, July, up to December. Sorry. March, April, May, June, July. Okay, so on the bottom right corner of the fill handle, you will see here a command button, and once you click on that, the autofill options will appear. So you can either copy cells, okay, you can use the fill series option, apply formatting only, with fill without formatting, and so on. So if ever you would want to make use of certain fill series option, autofill option, you can actually create your customized fill series option or options. Let's say cell 1, cell 2, and cell 3. Okay, so what you just have to do here, I'm going to select the cells, the range of cells, that will be from G9 up to G11. And then I'm going to go to the Microsoft Office button, open the Excel options command button, then look for, under the popular menu, the option here, create list for use in sorts and fill sequences. And then click on the edit customs list, and you will see here the custom list dialog box, and you'll see in the bottom of the list entries, there's a field there that contains the cell range of the selected cells. So when we talk about cell range, those are range of cells or group of cells that has been selected that you will be using for information in your Excel workbook. Or let's say you'll be using that range for a formula. So normally, the format or syntax for a cell range will be the beginning cell address. Here we have G9, and it will be separated by a colon, and the end cell range, the end of the cell range, which is G7. That will be G9, column G, row 9, the beginning of the range, G11, column G, row 11. And so if I want to go and create the new list, I'm just going to type here on the list entries, cell 1, cell 2, enter key, and cell 3. Then click on the add command button. You'll see now on the customs list field, we now have those lists in our custom list. And you can now use that information in our fill handle command. Okay, so click on our fill handle. You'll see now that that range is now included in our fill series autofill option. Okay. So let's now go back to our workbook. So let's say I want to copy contents from my monthly budget workbook exercise 1. And I would like here to select specific cells. So one way to select cells will be for you to make use of the shift key, then the arrow keys. Now I want to copy those cells into my book 6 workbook. So you can go to the clipboard group and use the command buttons here. We have the cut, copy, and the paste command button. So I'm going to use the copy command. You will see that the selected cells now have moving dots, or dots that are similar to an ant, or similar to ants that are moving. And I'm going to go and click on the cell where I want the new, or where I want to copy and paste my information. So I'm going to paste the information here. You will see now that I have copied the content from workbook or monthly budget exercise workbook to my book workbook, to my new workbook. And if you want to deselect the selected cells, just double click anywhere on either of the two workbooks that you are working on. So another way to select cells, you can use the F8 key, so you don't have to hold on the shift key anymore, and use the arrow keys. And another way to copy content will be to press on Ctrl plus C, and to paste the content with the use of the Ctrl plus V shortcut keys. And another way for you to go and select cells will be for you to use the mouse pointer and drag your mouse. Then do the same procedure, cut or copy and paste. Now I want to remove the previous formatting first. So what I'll do here is to make use of the clear formatting command button. So that is located in our editing group. Here we'll find here the clear formats option. So there will be no more formatting for those selected cells. You will notice that most of the text on the cells that we have created are overlapping over the column line. So we can resize the contents later. Okay. Let's first insert columns and rows, new columns and rows into our workbook. Let's say I want to insert a new column before column C, where the month of January is located. I need to select and click on the column name or column header. Then just go to the cells group and use the insert command button, and now you will see that the cells have moved one cell to the right, or one column to the right. Okay, I can also do that procedure by clicking on the rows. So then insert command button, you'll see that a new row has been inserted into our workbook above the row that we selected. So remember that new rows will appear above the row that you have selected, and new columns will appear before the column that you have selected. Just be very sure that you won't be selecting a cell once you click on and insert, and you would want to insert a new row. Why? This is a word of caution, because once you click on a cell, let's say D3, and I click on the insert command button, instead of Excel inserting a new column, it will insert just a single cell. So if you want to delete cells or delete columns, you can use the delete command button. Remember that there are also options under the delete command buttons. We have the delete cells, delete sheet rows and columns. Same with the insert command button. So let's say I want here a new row. Okay. So now I want to resize the column width of column A. One way to do that will be to go to the column line in between column A and column B and place your mouse pointer on that column line. You will notice that the mouse pointer changed into a double arrow. So I'm going to click on that and drag the mouse to the left, or from left to right, or right to left, depending on the size of the width that I prefer. Another way to do that will be for you to go to the Format command button under the Cells group, and then under the Cell Size menu, you'll find the row height and column width. You can either specify a specific column width for your columns. So let's say I'm going to use here 20. Okay. So if you don't want to do that, you can also use the auto-fit column width. This will auto-fit the content of your of that column to the width of the column. Another way to auto-fit the column contents will be to double-click on the column line. That will be the same with the use of the row height or row line. Okay, let's type here information that tells my press F2. Okay. Now let's say I would like to type here my expense headers. Okay. So now, one other feature of Excel will be the alignment group options. So here, I would like to center my monthly budget and merge all the cells from A1 to O4. So I'm going to select that range. And here, under the alignment group, we have the merge and center option. So you can see here that all of the rectangular markings are gone and has now been part of a larger cell, which is A1. Okay, so you can also merge across, merge cells, or unmerge cells. And under the alignment group, you can also put the text on the left, on the center, on the right, or you can bottom align, middle align, or top align. Another option that Excel provides us would be, let's just go and copy the content here. I'm just going to press F8 and then select the contents of my expenses. I'm sorry. Control C and Control V. So what did you notice? Pound signs appeared into my Excel workbook. Oh, sorry. We were not able to select all of the contents. So as you can see here, pound signs appeared. That means that the contents does not fit the width of the column or does not fit the column. So just double click to resize and auto fit the contents into our cells. Okay, so right now here I was not able to properly align the content of my text. So what I'll be doing here is to cut and copy or cut and paste the content of my Excel workbook. So I'm going to use the cut command or Control plus X and select on column B7 and Control V. You'll see now that our text is now properly aligned to their respective expenses. If you want to remove certain formatting, let's say formatting here, you can just use the clear formatting option again. And you can also use the Control key or just drag and drop information to clear formatting. Okay. So now I want to insert a formatting and a new table in I want to insert the contents into a table. So what I'm going to do here is to click anywhere that contains data, and I'm going to click on the format as table option. So here Excel now selected a certain range of data in our Excel workbook that will be from A1 to O22. However, we don't want to include cell address A1. That will be our title. So I'm going to remove that and I'm going to replace it with A5. And as we all know, we would like to include headers in our workbook. So I'm going to click here the option My Table Has Headers and click OK. You'll see now that Excel has now inserted a table style for our Excel workbook, and you can also choose from different styles that are available here, and Excel will be providing you with a live preview. On the headers, you will see that there's a command button here, a drop down menu that allows you to sort information in your table. But we won't be using that yet here in our tutorial, so I'm just going to remove that by means of removing the filtering option. Go to the editing group and unclick the filter option. And now let's try to look on our table. Once you click on the table, anywhere on the table, a new ribbon tab will appear in our ribbon. That's our Table Tools Design ribbon tab. So once you click on that, you have a lot of variety of options here, like table styles, we've discussed that earlier, and options to remove your header, add a total row. Here, you can see there. You can even band the rows together. Or when you say band rows, let's just choose a style that has banded rows. So band rows or banded columns, and you can bold the text on the first column and on the last column. But let's just use the first column option here. Okay? And I don't want banded rows and banded columns for this table. So here I can also change the name of my table. So that will be budget table. And you even have the tools to convert ranges and pivot the table. So now let's proceed to deselecting the table. So just click anywhere on our worksheet, and you will see that the Design tab will now be disappearing in our Ribbon tab. Let's say I would like to apply cell styles in our headers for each expenses. So we have here Cell Styles command button. You will see here a lot of predefined styles already created by Excel, ready for you to use. We can also create a new cell style, change the name, and choose formatting. You can apply pattern colors, pattern style, autofill colors. You can change the font. You can add borders if you want. Okay, and click OK, and now that specific cell style is now available in your table or for your cell styles command button. But let's just stick to the good option here. Just going to click on the format painter to apply the same formatting to a cell range. So remember, the format painter is similar with our the format painter in Word 2007. Very useful when you want to apply certain formatting. Okay, here I can also use the format painter for our other expenses. Let's do that. Okay, let's just remove this. Okay, so now I want to change the cell style of my title. So I'm going to use the title header, and I'm going to fill color, or I'm going to use a fill color for the background of my title. And I would also like to realign some contents here. So you can use the cell alignment options that you have under the alignment group. So let's left or right align the contents. Okay, so now let's proceed to typing the full-time job option here. Okay, that's already included in my field series options. I'm just going to bold the text, and I would like to copy the content for my expenses for each month, or my total earnings for each month. So I earn 5,000 for my full-time job and 3,000 for my part-time job. Just going to use the fill handle here to fill the same information to December and add some additional income for the month of December. And let's go to add total expenses. I'm sorry. What did you notice? Excel recognized that you're typing text beside text that already has certain formatting, and Excel provided you with an assistance of formatting those texts automatically. Okay. Now, let's discuss what are simple formulas or formulas. When we say formula, these are equations in Excel that computes data or values with the use of functions, references, constants, and mathematical operators. You can always define a formula by means of typing the equal sign. Then you can type either functions, references, constant numbers, and the mathematical operators. So let's say I'm going to add my full-time job income and my part-time job income. So I'm going to type here constant variables. So the number 5,000 plus the mathematical operator that adds data, that would be the plus sign, plus 3,000 pesos. So we now have here the calculated or computed total income for my full-time job and part-time job. So remember, when you say simple formulas, these are formulas that contains only one mathematical operation. So here we used the additional sign or the plus sign. So mathematical operators in Excel or arithmetic operators will be mathematical operators. For addition, we have the addition, subtraction, we have the multiplication, and the division. So in addition, we use the plus sign, subtraction, we use the minus sign, multiplication, we use the asterisk, and in division, we use the slash key. So in formulas, we can make use of cell references. This is more advisable to use when you're creating formulas. Why? Because once we use cell references, we don't need to change or make any editing anymore in the formula that we have typed in a specific cell address. So let's say I'm going to add the content of E25 and E26. So I'm going to type here E25 plus E26. So that will produce the same answer. Another way to do that will be to point and click and then drag. So I'm going to type or click on F25, then the plus sign, then click on F26. So those are cell references. The advantage of this over using constant variables like numbers will be if I decided to change the content of my full-time job for the month of January. Let's say I had to edit it and I made a mistake and it was 6,000. Nothing will change in my formula because I type constant numbers. The numbers 5,000 and plus 3,000. However, if I change the data in the formula where I use cell references, the data in my formula will automatically be updated. So let's just undo that. So another way to compute formulas in Excel will be for us to use of functions. So what are functions? These are predefined formulas that follows a certain syntax and order. So functions normally starts with the equal sign. Equal sign, remember, defines a formula or tells Excel that we will be defining a formula. Plus the function name, let's say sum, and the opening parenthesis that tells Excel we are now opening an argument, and the close parenthesis tells us that we will be closing an argument. And inside that will be the argument that we will be using for the computation. So let's say here I'm going to select and drag G25 to G26. The cell range G25 up to G26. So it will produce the same amount of answer or total. So you can also use the auto sum function here, or on the formula bar we have the auto sum. So once you click on the auto sum, Excel will try to recognize that you want to select specific cells that are near the cell where you want to have the computation done. So here Excel selected automatically the range from H25 or cell range H25 to H26. Okay. Another way to do that will be to go to the insert function command button. You can look for the function that you want to use and then search for it, and you will see here below automatically Excel will look for the function that you're looking for, and it will add here the description of what is that function for. And you can even categorize the search. You can either do it by means of all of the function, most recently used functions, other functions like financial functions used for financial purposes, and then you can go click on go. So click OK. It will open a dialog box that tells you on whether you would want to choose one argument to another. So here we want the range I25 to I26, and we can even add other ranges if we want to include those ranges into our formula for computation of the total sum of numbers. So here, that's the result. So sum is just one of the functions. We have a lot of functions that are available in Excel. We have the average, we have the maximum. So the average normally computes the mean or arithmetic mean of selected cells or numbers, and the maximum looks for the largest number in the selected cells. Minimum looks for the smallest number. So let's say I want to get the total sum of different ranges. So I'm going to click on the equal sign, then type the sum function. You'll see here that Excel provides you with suggestions. So here I would like to use different ranges. So I'm going to click the first range, that will be D7 to D11. Then the second range will be from okay, let me drag my mouse here. Just going to delete one of the other. Okay, so now we have two ranges selected. Going to press the control key. Oh, sorry. Let's change that. D13. Then add another range. Remember that ranges can be separated, or different cell ranges can be separated with the use of the comma. Okay, so I'm going to close the argument. That will be 3 arguments. We want to add the data from D7 to D11, D13 to D18, and D20 to D22. So it will produce the sum of 7,245 pesos. So you can also do that by means of, let's say here in the total expenses for the month of January, I'm also going to use the sum function here. And I'm going to select this range under the month of January. Click F8. Select all cells, even if there's a blank cell part of the selected cells. So it will produce the same number as the one wherein we selected different ranges. Okay. Under the average command, let's type average. Then the open and close parentheses, then click in the middle, then select the range that we want to look for. This will look for the arithmetic mean of those range or the selected range that we selected. So that will be 517 pesos and 517 and 50 centavos will be the arithmetic mean of the expenses that I have incurred during the month of January. And here, sorry, let's just place it here to D22. Okay, click OK. So we have 2,395 as the largest expense that I have incurred during the month of January. And let's type here minimum and click in the middle, then select the range. So the smallest amount of my expenses will be 100 pesos. So if you use the count function, you'll see here that this will get all of the cells that contains numbers in a select in the cell range. So how many cells do you think has numbers in it? So that will be a total of 168 cells. Okay, so here I would like to use my cell or fill handle. So you can see that Excel used relative references. When we say relative references, it will move data. So here we have I-25 to I-26. And if we use the fill handle that uses relative references, it will move the data from column I to column J. So it will now become J25 to J26. Here, K25 to K26. You have to be very careful when you're using the fill handle to fill information automatically, because there are times that the date, if you use the relative references, certain references will change depending on the range that you have selected. So let's say here, J25 to J26 was the formula or the data that was computed. But when we move down to J28, it became J26 to J27. And here, it moved another row below that it now turned into J27 to J28. So 8,000 plus 3,000, now we have 11,000. 11,000 plus 8,000, we have 19,000. So we'll discuss the difference of relative references and absolute references in another tutorial. So let's say I want to subtract, or let's say I would like to get the total expenses of all of my months here. I'm just going to use my fill handle, and I would like to get the total savings that I have for each month. So I'm going to go and use the cell reference for my total income, less. So if you want to subtract data, you can use the minus sign. If you want to multiply data, you can use the asterisk sign. If you want to divide, will be the slash sign. So I'm going to click on D27 and D29 and use the fill handle to fill relative references into my selected cells. And I would like to calculate the total sum of my yearly savings. So here, let's go equal sign plus, say, auto sum. Let's click here on whether it also. Again, the auto sum function will not work if it does not have any cells besides it that it will automatically select for the computation of the total sum of those data range or cell range. So let's say here I'm going to type the sum function, open parentheses, then select the range and close the argument. So now those are the total yearly savings that I acquire from my job, both full-time and part-time. So I can make bold the text bold with the use of the Control B shortcut key, or you can go to the Home Ribbon tab here. You can also change the font style under the font group. You'll see here live preview. Okay. I'm sorry, that's too big. Let's just, you can add borders, or you can even increase or decrease the font under the font group. Okay, so that will be all for this tutorial. Hope you have learned something, and please watch my other tutorials on how to use Excel. Thank you for listening, and God bless.